Does it really matter that the drivers aren't happy about the regulations for next year? Well, in my mind, it's a bit of a yes and no sort of answer to that question, because some things are relevant to just 20 people on the planet, or 22 next year, i.e. the drivers, and some things are relevant to everyone, the drivers and the people watching and taking part in the sport. Now, there's a great article on motorsport.com this morning called "What's Got Drivers So Agitated About Strange 2026 F1 Cars?" And it goes into what the drivers are complaining about, what they're upset about, and how the FIA are responding. Now, one of the issues that I think will be a problem for everyone, drivers and fans alike, is that they have this mandated amount of recharge that the cars have to do per lap. Now, it was originally fixed at the same amount wherever you are. Now, on certain tracks where recharging is tougher because there's not so much heavy braking, that would mean they would have to take their foot off the gas on the straights and lift and coast, i.e. essentially slowing down and letting the engine braking slow down towards the end of the straights, and that would help to recharge the battery. And that's just, we're getting into sort of how they drive at the end of a race when they're fuel saving, when they're 40 seconds up the road, kind of a performance, and everyone having to do that every lap. That would just be not the pinnacle of motorsport. It would be such a potentially dreary watch. So the FIA has responded, and they're going to do it on a per race basis. They're going to mandate how much they have to regenerate. So hopefully that is no longer an issue. And that is a good example of driver feedback and the FIA listening and making adjustments. Now, the other issue is the driving styles of these drivers having to change because of the new regulations when it comes to all the battery management and the changes in aero that I've talked about previously with that X and Z mode when it comes to active aero on the front and rear wings. So that, and like I say, the battery management and the fact that the cars are going to drive differently because they've got all this electrical power means they're going to get out of corners faster, but potentially, like I say, potentially running out of juice or having to be very cognizant of battery level and all that kind of stuff. It's going to change how these drivers approach every lap, and qualifying too, probably as well. So it's going to really advantage the drivers that are quick to learn and adapt, and it's going to be more challenging for the drivers that have been doing it a certain way for their whole lives and are not so quick to change. And as it relates to the drivers having to adapt, does it really matter from a fan perspective? Not really.